Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about Remake SaGa 2, Revenge of the Seven. Square Enix sent me a copy of the game ahead of its October 24th release and asked me to make a video on it. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, so of course I said yes. So yeah, hashtag sponsored for the video, which obviously makes anyone skeptical about what I'm going to have to say. But don't worry, I'll be talking about the things that I think the game did well and the things I think it could do better. That being said, if you do like what you hear me talk about here and like what you see, consider grabbing a copy using the link in the description to let Square know that you liked what you saw. There's also a Gleam link in the description with a sweet giveaway. Use the code word 7 to enter for a chance to win some cool prizes as well. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Remake SaGa 2 Revenge of the Seven is actually a remake of the 1993 original that was only released in Japan, out now for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStations 4 and 5, and Steam. It features Japanese and English voice acting, French, German, and Spanish subtitles, and of course, updated visuals and gameplay systems. Oh, and since it's got the number 2 in there, I should say don't worry about that. You don't need to play Remake SaGa 1 to get into this one. They're standalone like a lot of other Square IPs. The game's story is an interesting one. It revolves around a group known as the Seven Heroes, but these aren't your characters. No, these are the villains. They saved the world once upon a time, but are back and they're just terrorizing the lands. Your goal is to expand your empire, defeat the Seven Heroes, and discover the reason for their sudden reappearance. To find and defeat them, you're given a great deal of freedom after the opening portion. While the story gradually progresses to a similar conclusion, the way any individual interacts with its inhabitants changes how the events play out along the way. When you decide to complete quests and visit different locations, result in drastically different variations of that story event. For example, in my playthrough, a distant kingdom asked for advice dealing with an issue of succession. I neglected them in favor of a different quest, and as such, the kingdom itself was completely destroyed and overrun. I instead was left to deal with the individual responsible and help the souls of those lost. Another situation presented me with an option of cutting off an attack route from a group of enemies or diving into their lair and dealing with their leader directly. Had I not stopped them then and there, who knows what kind of carnage they may have sown. Not every decision is a big one though. Sometimes they're just fancy ways of saying yes or no to the quest at the moment, and others you're just given a couple of dialogue options that both lead to the same outcome. The big decision's really where you want to go and when you want to do each quest, lest you let a nation be destroyed like me. However, this battle spans generations of emperors, and thus the lineage system comes into play. After certain major story events, the game does a time jump forward and you're given a choice of new characters to name as the emperor. They inherit all the memories, and more importantly abilities, of the previous one, while also usually bringing something new to the table. Sometimes specific types of emperors are even required to visit certain locations or interact with certain quests. On one hand, it felt really encouraging to try new things thanks to the system. I had all of my old stuff to fall back on, but the new emperor's specialties might make me opt for an entirely different party makeup. On the other hand, it takes some getting used to that the protagonist and their party aren't really all that engaging past the initial quests that bring them into the fold. It really is a story about the Seven Heroes themselves, which fortunately is quite fun to gradually uncover as you explore the world and peek into their history. Speaking of exploring, the game features a zone-based system where individual maps are connected via loading screens. It makes the game a bit more digestible, but if you're looking for something that's like a full-on open world, this isn't it. So it's fun randomly running through zones to look for treasure and then stumbling onto a new quest, town, or even an entirely new region on the continent. The non-linear story really allows you to determine when a quest seems important versus getting out there and just seeing as much of the world as possible. The graphics do a swell job of bringing some immersion to those various environments and maps, with tons of twists and turns and monsters jumping at you from every corner. The characters look quite nice in this art style as well. While it's obviously not going for a hyper-realistic style here, this style just kind of, I don't know, makes sense. Like, I don't know about you, but this really does look like how I imagined the remake of a 1993 Super Famicom classic to look. And of course, it's got some great music tracks to match, both the originals and the new rearranged OST. But honestly, the core thing Remake SaGa sells is a classic RPG gameplay experience. There's a lot to say here, so I'll see how I can summarize it. Your party will consist of the Emperor and 4 additional members of your retinue. These can be selected at taverns and towns, and you're free to add or remove them to your heart's desire. Each character has an associated class, and as you explore the world, more classes will open up, not only for your retinue, but for the potential Emperor selection when you perform inheritance. Each class has its own stats and specialties, which can eventually be learned, mastered, and even passed on to other party members. It's very effective to constantly be engaging with the different classes for this reason. Not to mention that you also gradually unlock new formations for them on the battlefield, allowing you to swap around how you position them to protect backliners and buff allies. But be careful with your party makeups. Every party member has a life point value that goes down if their health is reduced to 0, or if they take damage after they're already downed. If that happens, they die permanently, and you'll need to replace them with other characters in your retinue. When you explore around the map, enemies will wander about. Bumping into them starts a battle, but if you can sneak up on them, you can perform a surprise attack, slightly lowering their health and reducing their initial turn speed. However, if they catch you from behind, they get the jump on you, so be careful. Every battle begins with the party restored to max health, though BP, which is consumed for skills, is only restored out of combat or through specific abilities. You'll be placed into battles that are described as timeline turn-based, just meaning that the order of who gets to act next is listed at the top of the screen for each turn based on their speed. Abuse enemy weaknesses, status effects, and proper support and defense, and win each battle as they come. You've got different weapon types, elemental spells, and even a special united attack where, if you abuse your enemy weaknesses enough, you can combine ally attacks into a more powerful combo, raising their damage and removing their cost. When a battle concludes, instead of leveling up traditionally through experience points, you instead earn TP, which is then distributed to the weapons and spell types that were used in the fight. Want to get more powerful spears? Use spears. Want stronger fire magic? Use fire magic, and so on and so forth. This is the SaGa Special, focusing on improving efficiency with individual skills instead of just leveling up your character. As you use skills, you also get these like light bulbs next to them sometimes in the menu. This means there's a chance for a glimmer, which will cause the character to learn an entirely new skill. Sometimes at the end of battles, you can also learn brand new spells after using your other ones enough. Now, this is a system many of you know I have been classically skeptical of due to my experiences with non-SaGa titles doing the same thing. However, here, I felt constantly rewarded for learning new things and growing stronger, a testament to the notable power increases you receive and the pace at which you receive them. Some are straight up better and scale into the later parts of the game, and some serve very specific purposes. Like this fight, there's 3 frogs and they were absolutely annihilating me. But then I remembered that I had learned a skill that's sole purpose was to kill frogs in a single hit. So I went back, grabbed that skill, and bam, easy fight. It really rewards engaging with the progression systems a lot, while also never really making me feel like I had to sit there and grind for a particular reason. Being diligent about learning new skills and applying them to the right situation felt incredibly satisfying. And let me tell you, this game does not pull its punches. I played a bit on both normal and hard difficulties, which funnily enough, hard is the same difficulty about as the 1993 original, and both were quite challenging. As the game progresses, random encounters become less concerning, although occasionally absolutely slap me too, but the major bosses often have incredibly debilitating unique skills. If you're not into super difficult RPGs though, don't worry, there is a casual mode so you can play through at your leisure and enjoy the game's story. It may seem like a lot, but for RPG fans like me, this is the kind of stuff we crave. I love nothing more than engaging with progression systems, figuring out OP combos, and having an entirely different experience than the next person I talk to about the game. And that's really what they're doing here, and I really enjoy it. Now, I said I'd talk about the ups and downs, but for a classic RPG fan, this really is a whole bunch of ups. Still, to balance the scales, let me bring up some other things that I think they could definitely do better. Now, no auto battle is definitely notable, though to be fair, I think I'd actually get killed if I did auto battle in this game. There is actually a unit that does auto battle, and they do pretty well, but just mentioning it. Also, character animations are a bit stiff, mostly just in cutscenes. I don't really notice it in battle. I think it also kind of adds to the whole remake of a 1993 RPG charm, but again, I gotta call it out. Oh, and every time you name a new emperor, you have to completely rebuild your party again, do their equipment, move around techniques if need be, everything. It takes like 10 minutes for me most of the time, and it's not that huge a deal. You don't have to do it that often, but I definitely left town forgetting to do it once or twice and almost died, so be careful. Now, trust me, I could go on and on explaining the intricacies of the system and how to mix and match them. There's plenty I haven't even gotten to yet, but I'll leave some mystery in there for you to see yourself. If you're a classic RPG fan looking to engage with layers of RPG systems in a more open narrative, give this a shot. If you're not sure, you could try out the demo first and then carry the save over. It's just a taste, but it's what got me saying yes to this video, so take that as you will. Also, be sure to check out the giveaway hosted by Square Enix in the Gleam link below and use code 7 for a chance to win those cool prizes. Thank you for watching my video on Romancing SaGa 2, Revenge of the 7. Remember, the game is out now. You can go grab it for the Switch, PlayStations 4 and 5, or Steam. Thank you again to Square Enix for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.